It would have been nice to have had the whole week to sort of to savour the victory, but it didn't work out for us.
Got lovely weather, though.
Beautiful weather.
Yeah. Luca and Wilf, they dedicated the win to you. How did you feel about that?
Well, very flattered, of course, very happy. I was surprised really about the response that passing the milestone actually attracted, I suppose, or the interest it attracted, and it's nice that the players dedicated the victory. It was a really special day. I didn't quite realise, I think, beforehand what a special occasion it was going to be, passing this milestone. I'd been perhaps a bit more nonchalant about it than I should have been, and the players dedicating the victory and remarking on it is something which brought it home to me even more.
One possible sour note with Mamadou Sakho left on crutches. What's the latest on him?
Yeah, we don't know yet. He's being assessed, so we'll have to wait and see what the diagnosis is. But I mean, it means he won't be playing tomorrow night. That I can obviously state, but I can't make any comments at the moment about how serious or minor the injury is until such time as we get all the information back.
Obviously, Claude Puel's left Leicester since then, and it looks like Brendan Rodgers might be coming in. What do you make of that?
I'm always very sad when a manager loses his job, especially when he loses it directly after a game in which the team I'm coaching has been involved. I mean, I'm pretty certain it wasn't a direct response to that defeat, but you never feel good about a situation when something like that happens, and I can only wish him well. And I thought his team actually played well, so whoever comes in after him is taking over a team with some very, very good footballers, and I think personally he did a good job during the time he was at the club, and now it'll be up to the next man to try and carry on that legacy. But all I can do is wish Claude well, and give him my empathy, if you like, for the situation he found himself in after the defeat.
Does that show the strength of the Premier League that Brendan Rodgers would consider leaving a big club like Celtic to come to Leicester?
Well, Celtic are a massive club, there's no doubt about that, but they are a massive club in a relatively small league if you compare it to the Premier League. So I don't think it's surprising that people will leave even the top clubs in Scotland, Celtic and Rangers being the two massive clubs there. If a top job in the Premiership comes up, that doesn't surprise me at all. But I do agree with you, and Celtic is a club that we here in the south underestimate in terms of its size, its quality, its power, simply because they win the league every year and they win it comfortably.
Manchester United under the lights at Selhurst. It's a massive game. How much are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, very much so. I was very disappointed in last year's one. I thought we played so well. We were leading 2-0 at half time. I thought we were good value in the way we were playing for victory, and Matic scored a screamer in the last minutes of the game to take all the 3 points from us. And but it was a fantastic game of football last year, and I expect this one to be a very good game of football too. So of course I'm looking forward to it, but I'm very wary of the fact that this is Manchester United. This is a team in their last 11 league games that have only managed to draw twice and win the other 9, so it's going to be a very, very tough ask for us, but at least we go there on the back of a victory ourselves.
He's made a real impact at Manchester United. If you were in his position as an interim, would you expect to get the job after how well you've done?
I think the way he handles it, and I believe it's his birthday today, so congratulate him on that. I hope that's all the congratulations I'm going to be giving him in the next few days, but I think the way he handles that situation when asked the question, I think the way the club handle the situation when asked the question is very wise and leaves nobody any doubt as to what the situation is there at the current time, and I don't really see any point whatsoever for people like myself to speculate on whether or not he should be given the job. It really is a question of what Manchester United want and what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants. Finally,
obviously you've had a long career in management. Have you ever seen anything like the Kepa situation in the League Cup final on Sunday?
It's highly dramatised, wasn't it? I felt very sorry for both parties. I felt sorry for the manager, of course, who didn't really understand, I think, what Kepa perhaps was trying to say, and I felt very sorry for Kepa, who was obviously just trying to point out that don't take me off because you think I'm injured when I'm not. It's one of those situations which can easily occur it's made for a very dramatic event. But I've got to say it didn't have quite the same effect upon me as it's had on other people. I don't for 1 minute believe that the player was in any way intending to disrespect his manager. And I think the manager was acting very much in good faith, thinking he needed to replace the player. And all of this is taking place in one of the most emotional moments of the game. You're 4 or 5 minutes away from the end of the game. A shootout is looming. It's extremely emotional. And unfortunately all we saw is what drama and emotion football can still bring to us all. And I'm just pleased that the club has obviously sorted the situation out, and I'm more than happy to accept the explanations that both Medic, Osari and Kepa have come up with.
Thanks very much, Steve.
Pleasure.
Okay, this is Will.
Just been speaking to Cheku before this, and he was telling me how much confidence there is in the camp. 6 unbeaten, it's been a really good start to 2019. Is this the best confidence you felt from this side?
It's quite strange that there's been other occasions where we've actually played quite well and not had the results. And I don't think that there's been a lack of confidence as a result of it. There's been a little bit of a sadness that, you know, we're playing well enough to win, we're doing everything we need to do to win, and yet we aren't getting a win, or we aren't getting the result we think we deserve. Obviously now when you're actually getting the results you deserve and the team is winning, then it's even better still. But I've not really felt at any stage during the season that there's been any lack of confidence. But victories are so important in this league, and if you're in the situation in the table where we often find ourselves, the victories are few and far between. It's different maybe for the top 4, 5, 6 teams. They win on a regular basis, but the rest of us, we have to suffer quite a few defeats and draws along the way in between our wins. So when you get a spell like we've just had, where we've won 4 and drawn 2 of the last 6, of course the mood's going to be buoyant, and players' confidence should definitely be improving all the time as a result of it.
We go back a few weeks, there was a bit of a crisis injury-wise when it came to goalkeepers. That's obviously improved now an awful lot. Have you settled now on your number 1, do you think?
Well, at the moment Vicente's got the shirt. He came in when Wayne was injured and played very well, and you know he's been able to keep Wayne, if you like, on the sidelines since that time. But Wayne also has played 2 very good games for us in the Cup against Spurs and then up at Doncaster, so we're still fully aware that he's available and a very serious competitor for the shirt, but only one of them can have it, and Vicente seems to have got his hands on it, and it'll be up to Wayne to wrest it from him.
Has he impressed you more than you thought, maybe?
Vicente? No, we knew what we were signing when we signed him. I think the thing that impressed me most about him was, obviously we worked very hard to get him at the club. It was a 6-month effort, if you like, to get him here and persuade him that this was the right place for him. And then of course Wayne Hennessy finished the season so well last year that when he actually arrived, he found that Wayne Hennessy was the man with his hands firmly on the goalkeeper's jersey, and he had to be so patient waiting for his chance, and that really impressed me, that he accepted that. He worked hard at his game. He was always fantastic in training. When he got the chance in the League Cup, he took it. And also, of course, the way he's integrated with the group, which is also not an easy thing to do. When you come from Spain, you don't speak the language that well, and you've got a young family to look after. So it's been very impressive in many respects.
Moving on to Manchester United, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer appears to be a very different type and style of manager to Jose Mourinho. Do you believe he's maybe taken the shackles off this United side and kind of set them free a bit and allowed them to play more football?
Journalistic question, I'm afraid. I don't know that managers should answer those questions, because it involves me first of all accepting lots of things that have been said and now taken as gospel about Jose Mourinho that I might not want to take.
Their style has changed an awful lot since.
Well, they've won. I mean, when teams win, people see all sorts of things in it, but there's no doubt that he has had an effect upon the team, or the players have maybe woken up a little bit and started to smell the coffee and realise that we're Man United and the way things have been going isn't quite good enough. So maybe they've decided to start playing and behaving like Manchester United players. But I'm very impressed with the way he's conducted himself. But I don't like the comparisons, and I don't know that I'm actually prepared just to sit back and say, but Mourinho was that and now it's this. I think it's a lot more complicated than that. But the one thing I do know is that Manchester United are Manchester United. We are talking about one of the great football clubs, not just of England, but of the whole world. And I know people are going to hit me with questions about their injuries. It doesn't matter. You know, Manchester United could quite easily swallow many, many injuries before they cease to be Manchester United. And if we are going to get a result in the game tomorrow night, it will be a massive feather in the cap of Crystal Palace Football Club, because our victories against Manchester United, well, I can't remember too many, that's for sure. I mean, I'm certain I don't have the records, as you know. I don't carry records around in my head, but we don't do it very often. We were very pleased with our 0-0 draw up there earlier in the year.
Well, you obviously knew my next question about injury, so we'll move on. Listen, speaking again finally to Cheku, he was saying to me that when he joined the club, he talked to the powers that be, including yourself. You kind of sold him a bit of a master plan of what you wanted, where you wanted this club to go. Do you feel now as well, in the direction you're going with the results since the turn of the year, and that you're moving up the table, that you're really getting this team to where you wanted them to be from when you came in?
It'll take time. I mean, and what's more, our transfer windows haven't enabled us to do what some clubs have been able to do in their transfer windows. I've had 3 now, but in fact, in terms of changing things and bringing players in, it's not been a particularly important changes that we've been able to bring about in those transfer windows. So there's still a lot to do, but I've been lucky enough to take over what I think was a good squad of players anyway, and I think they're working hard. I think the club is definitely working in the right way, and we are 100% realistic. We know where we are and what it's going to take to move, if you like, into the next category, which of course will be the category where for the last few years teams like Everton and Leicester and Southampton before them have been residing. So I do think that during the whole of the time I've been here, I've always felt that there's some sort of progress being made. But the problem with that is that the only way you can prove that is if there are results. And the strange thing is in football that you can actually be making progress and doing some good work without results. And you can be getting results and actually moving backwards, but they're the type of things which are very hard to express, hard to explain, and of course will never come out on the back page of the newspaper.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
Emma from Five Live.
You say it's going to be a very tough game and you've had quite a short preparation time, so what do you need to nail to make sure that your players get that feather in the cap?
Well, I think they need to be aware, first of all, of what Manchester United are and what they can do and what problems they're going to pose us, how well they're going to defend when we have the ball, how dangerous they're going to be when they attack, and we've tried to cover that in the very short period of time we've had between Leicester and now, so that I'm hoping they'll go into the game pretty much aware of what's awaiting them. And then it's also the question, it's always the mental aspect, that they've got to make certain that they are 100% ready, focused, determined, by no means underestimating the task ahead of them, and also realising that we are always going to have to be at our very, very best if we're to take any points from a game like this one. And I'm hoping that that's what we'll see tomorrow. I have no reason to doubt it. I think that's what it will be like. And if that is the case, it will also then it'll be down to what all football matches come down to, the final analysis, you know, who actually does play well on the night and who does take the goal chances and what goalkeepers make the fabulous saves.
There might be some unfamiliar faces given United's injuries. Does that challenge your players more in terms of playing what they see in front of them from players that they're less familiar with, so that therefore they're having to adapt more on the night? Will that challenge them in that way?
Well, it would if there was a lot of unfamiliar faces, but I'm not expecting a lot of unfamiliar faces. So, you know, I think we're normally quite good at working out roughly what the opposition team will look like, and certainly while we've been doing that in our preparation for the game, there were no unfamiliar faces named for me anyway. So we'll wait and see. It could be a good question if all of a sudden 4 or 5 academy players are in the first starting 11 that we've not seen before. Of course, it's a valid question. That could be interesting then, because we like to give our players the best possible information and give them every opportunity to prepare for the type of players they're going to be meeting and what those players will do. if suddenly you put 4 or 5 academy players in that you've not seen play, it would change the parameters to some extent. But I don't expect that to happen. So we'll wait and see. The worst that can happen is that a sub might come on that you don't know so well. But we're always liable to come across that situation.
Okay, thank you. And Declan at the back.
Roy, can I just ask you about the progress Luke Shaw's made this season? You've shown a lot of faith in him to take to Brazil, presumably rated him highly. Injuries set him back, but now he looks like he's probably having his best season in club football.
Yeah, great admirer of his. I think he's an excellent player. I thought that when Manchester United signed him from Southampton, it was a very good signing. We at the time had high hopes of him really making the left back spot his own, but as you rightly say, he had the problems when he first went to Manchester United in terms of adaptation, and then of course that horrific injury. But I'm really pleased to see that he's come over those things and is now back to the Luke Shaw that I think he was when Manchester United signed him from Southampton, 3-4 years ago now, and probably better if the truth's known, because then they were signing a player with enormous potential but who'd only had a year or a season in the Premiership as a young lad. Now they've got a 24-year-old, I guess, who's got plenty of games behind him. He's got the international matches behind him. He's got Champions League games behind him, and he can only get better, I think. So I'm pleased for him, and I can only hope that saying all these nice things about him, he won't come back to haunt me tomorrow night by playing brilliantly and either scoring goals or making goals.
You presumably would have taken him to France. Can you tell me how big your plans were for him with England before injury disrupted that?
Well, he came in 2014. The team we played in the last game, we put a lot of younger players in. Ben Foster was outstanding in goal that day. Phil Jones came in alongside Smalling, played very well at the back. We had Luke Shaw playing in that game. So there was a lot of players who hadn't played so many games up to then, and we were thinking going forward into 2016 tournament that these players would all play a big part. Many of them did. So the change really 2014 marked maybe the biggest changeover with England during my time, where so many young players came in, and they're the ones who today are, captaining the team and are, playing starring roles. But Luke, I'm sure, would have been one of those type of players had he not suffered the injuries that he did.
And presumably part of youth relish in seeing Marcus Rashford play as well as he is now.
Well, we gave him his debut too, and he was in that tournament in 2016. We believed strongly in him, and he's gone on, of course, in these next 2.5 years to really show that we were right in recognising that he had the talent to do that. So he'll be another one, I'm sure. The problem when you work with players, especially we work with his length of time, like we did with some of these England players, is they tend to come back, and I don't know whether they're trying to say thank you for selecting me and I'm now going to show you how good I am, but they often save their best games and their best moments for the teams I'm coaching at this moment in time, but we'll see.
Thank you.
Okay,
that's the end of the broadcast section. Thank you.